So in the past, it was your language, it was your culture, it was your sort of ideals and beliefs, which essentially set the pattern, set the rules of how that society operates, right? So there is a fear that you are losing that status. So your language is not going to be the dominant one anymore. Your cultural preferences will not dominate in that society. So this might be, in the current context, might refer to attitudes towards women, or, in the news recently have been attitudes towards ritual slaughter of animals, for, and many other, right? So you could say, so there's this sense on the part of the formerly dominant majority that they are losing this status, which impels them, as fear usually does, to act out. At the same time, because their share of the population is still quite large, they don't face the same coordination costs as a group of 5% of the population. So they still have the potential to form mass movements. They still have the potential muscle to try. They're not necessarily going to succeed in this, but they still have the potential muscle to try and reverse the situation. And if they feel there is an urgency to do so, anyway, you could see why on this bell curve, what that represents is the propensity to civil conflict. And it's most dangerous in exactly the situation faced now in Britain and throughout Western Europe, which is the perception of the indigenous native populations of Europe that they are being displaced in their own homelands.
So what you're saying is that the conditions for civil war, they're sort of approaching optimal at the moment.
In that respect, yes, but also in other respects, they are also optimal. This is the weird thing, okay? I'll maybe, if I may, I'll give a slightly long answer, but I'll try to get to the point. If I'm to summarize some of the big ideas in the Civil War's literature with respect to causation, one of the big factors I've just talked about, which is the essentially status loss by a formerly dominant majority, otherwise known in the literature is referred to as downgrading, but it's effectively the same as the replacement or displacement narrative you hear increasingly in right and far right circles. Actually, it's not just far right. I happen to live up in the north of Britain in strongly left-wing areas where it's a very firmly held idea. So it's not, strictly speaking, actually best understood as a right-left thing.
Just to make this slightly more specific, the idea being that white British people are being replaced by people who don't look like them, who don't share the same culture.
To be very specific, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Or to be even more specific, I mean, so we're recording this days after the Glastonbury event, right? So you might say it's between if you don't want to raise race, if you feel that neurolinguistic programming effect of that often occurs in people when you use the words white population, then you might just say, look, the coming conflict is between those people who either express the view or nod at the view that we want our country back,
and the people who want
you to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Okay, so there are those two, to give an example that people can latch on